Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and as the second debate with Tulsi Gabbard rapidly approaches this evening, I thought I would go over a piece with Tucker Carlson featuring Gabbard. Now, for a review, I felt that Gabbard far and away beat everybody on the stage with her. I was not pleased with the way she started her introduction to that debate. I was a little bit critical. I've talked about her problems in the past of being a Council on Foreign Relations member, a bit of a gun grabber, and even though she talks about ending the regime change wars, her position on torture and 9/11 in particular are ones that I do not share. That being said, she's still far and away much better than everybody else. She was the most searched for candidate after the fact. And then when she tried to buy more ads, Google stopped her. What? They suspended her account and would not let her buy any more ads. This is a Democratic candidate for the presidency of the United States who is a congresswoman from Hawaii. What is, and a military veteran. For Google to do that is simply unheard of. And, you know, I did an earlier video today breaking down last night's Democratic debates. I'm going to be watching tonight's Democratic debates and doing a live stream AMA. But talk about the Twilight Zone circus show clown world that we live in. As I've talked about before, Tucker Carlson has come around to being probably the most important mainstream news pundit out there, hands down. It's not even a ballpark or close. Doesn't mean I agree with everything that Tucker has to say, but boy, he's been more vocal about freedom of speech, about the suppression of voices, even though they might not be conservative, and that's what this piece is about. So without further ado, let's go to this piece with Tucker Carlson and Tulsi Gabbard, because I really do think it is important and it's great work, and break it down from here.
We've done a lot of work on this program to expose the bias and corruption at Google, which is the world's most powerful company by far. But Google and its employees don't just have it out for conservatives. We want to make that clear. Google is hostile to anyone who challenges the status quo.
Boom. He's right. Now, whether or not we can argue that it's the most powerful company in the world, it's not really a company anymore. It hasn't been for some time. I don't even know that it was a company in its inception with its CIA links and In-Q-Tel. Okay? But as it progresses, it's further and further and further clear that it is a tool for power, a tool for the deep state, if you will, the technopoly, the media, military, industrial complex, the thought controllers. That's all it is.
Since Google is the chief beneficiary of the status quo. Congresswoman and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard learned that the hard way just after the first presidential debate, where Gabbard was the single most searched Democratic candidate. Google blocked her from being able to buy new ads.
How insane is that? Again, this person isn't a criminal. She's a congresswoman. And once again, the idea that she can't buy ads and every other one of the baseball-sized lineup. I mean, think about that. There are 20-plus candidates out there right now running for president. Yeah, forget you need 9 on the field in baseball, okay? I think a full professional squad is 26. It's 26. And everybody else can buy ads, but Tulsi Gabbard, who sounded the most sensible up there, in my opinion, she can't.
Now she's become the first presidential candidate to sue Google. She's accused them of censoring her message. We are happy to have Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard join us tonight. Congresswoman, thanks very much for coming on. Tell us the point of this suit.
Here's the bottom line. This is really about the unchecked power that these big tech monopolies have over our public discourse and how this is a real threat.
Wait a minute. It's not Russia? Wait, I thought Russia was the one that had control over our public discourse. Wait, wait, I can't. I was told it was Russia, Tulsi.
To our freedom of speech and to our fair election. So this really isn't about me. It's about taking action on behalf of the American people. Because we've got to understand here that if Google can do this to me as a sitting member of Congress running for the highest office in the land, then that means they can do this to any candidate running for any office anywhere in this country, and frankly to any person.
Which they have. Which they have. And they have been doing this for quite some time. And as their power has grown, they've been more and more brazen with it. Now to the point where a presidential candidate can't buy ads on their platform. The largest advertising platform on the internet, bar none, hands down, you can't. And it's not about protecting popular speech, is it? Because if her speech was popular with the establishment, they'd allow that.
In this country. And that's why it's so important that whether you're a progressive or conservative, whether you consider yourself on the left or the right, we all have to stand united to protect our freedom of speech. Because, look, today it's me, tomorrow it could be you or someone else.
And again, it's not about left or right. It's never been about left or right. It's been about the suppression of speech that is anti-globalism, anti-war, anti-track trace database, wants harsher laws for elite pedophiles out there when they get caught. People like Anthony Weiner who get a slap on the wrist. People like Claire Bronfman that get a slap on the wrist. People like Dennis Hastert that get a slap on the wrist. That goes way beyond party lines now, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Can't talk about those things.
Yes, that's exactly right. God bless you, by the way. Why are you the only candidate who's saying this?
I can't explain that, Tucker, but I do know how important it is that we protect our freedoms in this country. It's something I think that people take for granted unless they're the ones under attack.
And that's very, very true. Unless you're the one that's being targeted, it is kind of hard to see this sometimes. Okay? And that's why I'm always for, listen, if you're not breaking the law, say whatever you want, do whatever you want, until you hurt somebody else. And we've become so soft in this country and really around the world that you can't even really express yourself anymore. I did an interview with Dan Dix of Press for Truth, who was suspended from Twitter for refusing to refer to Jonathan Yannick, who goes by Jessica Yannick, who has a female scrotum and balls and penis and seems to be attracted to 14 and 12-year-old girls, who he wants to have unattended pool parties with, by the way. And because he refused to gender Jonathan, a.k.a. Jessica Yannick, as a woman, his account gets suspended. Now, some people, when I did this video, said, well, you know what? We should suspend their account. Now, if there are overt acts of pedophilia or trying to groom children, 100% they should actually be prosecuted by the law. But again, until you're hurting somebody or breaking the law, out yourself as a monster, please. Now, again, I'm not promoting the grooming of children, et cetera, et cetera. That's obviously illegal and should be dealt with by law enforcement. My point being is that we have to be behind the ability for people to say the most deplorable of things so that then we can counter it with better speech and actions. Is that so crazy? Isn't that what this country was founded on?
These freedoms are enshrined in our Constitution. I love our country. I love our people. This is why I'm standing up and fighting for these freedoms, even when these freedoms allow those who say things I may disagree with to have that freedom to do so. You know, as a soldier, these are the principles that I stand up for, that even though you and I may disagree on things, I'm willing to give my life for your freedom to do so.
So you filed this lawsuit, and God bless you for doing that. What should lawmakers in the Congress do to rein in this dangerous tech monopoly called Google?
First of all, we need to break it up. We need to stop giving it special privileges and all of those, you know, and remember, Google's a part of Alphabet. Okay? There's a ton of sub-organizations, and they already have sub-projects, et cetera, et cetera. We need to break them up and have them heavily regulated and looked at like a hostile intelligence service, because that's what they are. They are a hostile intelligence service to me and you, but not to the people running the National Security Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, etc., etc., Homeland Security. To them, it's just another part of this track, trace, database society that's been ever growing the past 30 plus years.
Washington needs to act. There's no question about it, because we're talking about Google, Facebook, Twitter. These are big tech monopolies that have this unchecked power to influence our public discourse, to influence what kind of information people are seeing.
And remember, the other thing is, like when you look at Google, right? Right now, I'm using their platform, YouTube, to present this to you. But at the same time, I'm lowered in the algorithm and the aggregate because I'm not an authoritative news source. Yet who is an authoritative news source according to the Google News Initiative, which is not YouTube, but it's still Google promoting authoritative sources, and YouTube's a part of Google and a part of that initiative, and they're going to be promoting video content from the likes of Vox. So Vox is authoritative content. Jason Burmis is not authoritative content.
Google is in control of 88% of all internet searches in the United States, and I believe it's 92% of all internet searches in the world. So Google is controlling, when you type into that Google search box, what pops up, the information that you see. So it's important that Congress takes action, because right now this is unchecked. They've got their secret algorithms. They can control the information that we see. They can control what pops up in our Facebook feeds, and they can censor voices that they disagree with.
Which they do. And let me say this, over the last 5 years in particular, it's become a lot harder to find information that was readily available. I have to look through cached sites. I have to look through, really some old sites that are still up there for original URLs, and then look for the titles within those URLs and what publications they were in, and really search. Google has been increasingly difficult to use. I understand there's DuckDuckGo out there. I know there's the Brave browser instead of Chrome, etc., etc., and it's good to have these tools. But like they said, 88% of all searches are now running through that. And only 5% of people ever hit number 2. If it's not on the first page, they don't even go beyond that. And look, I mean, that's great for researchers like me, who will comb through as many pages as it takes to try to find what they want. But it's not great for the society out there that has to search and burrow for legitimate and relevant information to share with one another, is it? What is that? That's actually not promoting authoritative sources. That's hiding those sources from the public so that the deemed sources of authoritativeness can get given a bigger voice on behalf of this technopoly agenda.
Google has spoken openly about how they have shut out those who have not broken any of their terms of use. So this is really what's at stake here, and it's important that Congress takes action to provide this oversight and accountability, and ultimately to break up these big tech monopolies.
So in the 30 seconds we have remaining, are you going to bring this up in the debates this week?
I look forward to doing so. This is such an important issue that is integral to every single one of our freedoms that we cherish and that we all must stand up and protect.
And I totally agree with her there. And Tucker, keep up the good work. We give them credit where credit's due. That was a good piece. I'm going to be watching those debates. We're going to be live streaming with an Ask Me Anything afterwards. So if you're watching the debates, make sure to tune in. It should be somewhere around 10:30-ish that we go live here. We're putting out 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 videos a day. Again, I had Dan Dix on yesterday. Great interview. He was recently suspended from Twitter for the most ludicrous of reasons. Deep dive into Dershowitz yesterday, as well as breaking down the relevancy of anything in that ridiculous Mueller testimony. We got a disturbing story coming up on Jeffrey Epstein later today. You can read the headlines. And through some of the viewers out there, I've been able to get some of those Ghislaine Maxwell Pacer documents with her court case with Virginia Guffrey Roberts. So we're going to be diving into them as well. So if you're new to this, please subscribe, ring that bell, join the Burmese Brigade, and if you can, I'm funded completely by you guys. We're almost 2 weeks deep, and we're shy of halfway, but that's okay. We're going to make this work, and I want to thank all of you guys out there for watching me and supporting me. I will see you all on the flip.